So now let's take a moment to breathe, enter into our time of community, and invite the Spirit to be present among us.
I will be gentle with myself, I will love myself. I am a child of the universe, being born in each moment. I will be gentle with myself, I will love myself. I am a child of the universe, being born in each moment. I will be gentle with myself, I will love myself. I am a child of the universe, being born in each moment.
When I was in 5th grade, a teacher came into the classroom. I thought I heard him say students in our grade could be part of a group that would learn how to play percussion instruments. And he said, if you're interested, come outside into the hallway to learn more. I walked out into the hall, and for a moment, I was kind of afraid I misheard, because I walked out there and I was the only girl. And I thought, oh, I hope this isn't wrestling. But no, it was learning how to play drums and bells, and I wanted to do that, so I signed up. And over my elementary and junior high years, I was often the only female percussionist in my school. I didn't always feel like I fit in. Everyone, first of all, seemed to be happy assuming that I would want to play the bells of marimba. Why would a girl want to play a drum, right? But actually, I was much more interested in playing the drums. And then when I got to marching band in high school, the band director assigned us to percussion instruments without a tryout. And like the other girl in the band, I was assigned to cymbals. Although later I managed to play the drums, the snare drum, and the marching band. So often, seeing somebody in an unexpected place or role can seem odd. When I was a kid, who knew women would one day be astronauts? For you young folks in the crowd, they used to not be allowed. Who knew that plenty of women had the skills to contribute to all kinds of jobs that had been traditionally assigned to men? And that research would show that having a more diverse workforce actually leads to better decision making. Being seen as different from others sometimes cannot seem like an advantage at all. But what if we broadened our understanding of what counts as a gift? What if we welcome new perspectives, new ways of doing things? As part of our practice of respecting the inherent worth and dignity of all people, what if we opened ourselves to the idea that the ideas of people whose thinking and actions and words are outside the mainstream are really to be valued? Today, let's explore these questions. Come, let us worship together. The chalice is a symbol of the Unitarian Universalist faith. Lighting the chalice unites us into worship, reminds us of our search for truth and meaning, and inspires hope for a more just world. As Katie comes and helps us with lighting our chalice here in the sanctuary, I invite those of you on Zoom to light your home chalice. And I invite everybody to join in the words of saying our church covenant, which are on the slide, as well as in the order of service. We affirm that each life has brilliance, and when joined with others in joyful community, has the power to transform. We pledge ourselves and our resources to this journey. This covenant inspires and challenges us to dwell together in right relationship. We promise to extend hospitality, nurture community for all ages, encourage spiritual growth, honor diversity, and practice kindness.
Different, a great thing to be, by Heather Avis, illustrations by Sarah Mensinga. Scoot closer in and sit next to me while I tell you the story of my friend Macy. She can swim underwater, balance on logs. She can whistle, almost. She has a pet dog. She reads books and jumps high like kangaroos do. She takes hip-hop class and prefers to wear blue. She's a fun-loving kid, much like you and me, but she's also quite different, a great thing to be. A bit small for her age, Macy doesn't talk much. She takes her time while others rush, rush, rush. She says, "Hi, what's your name?" to both strangers and friends, and sometimes sings on after her favorite song ends. While Macy believes that different is grand, others at times just don't understand. Some people stare rudely, and Macy's been told, "You don't belong here, you don't fit the mold." This kind of rejection can sting, it is true. But the thing about Macy, and the thing about you, is the brain in her head and the brave in her heart know her place in this world is not separate or apart. When those scared of different tried to keep Macy out, she just wouldn't give up, nor did she pout. She looked at the people on her left and her right, and with a great burst of courage, yelled with all her might, "Hey you, look at me. We're a lot alike, you see, but we're also each different, which is a great thing to be." Others around her realized Macy was right. They all watched in wonder as her spirit shone bright. At her school, at the park, at the dance studio, she brought the beauty of different to each place she would go. People learned to admire Macy's outlook on life. Sameness is fine, but different brings light. With brave in their hearts and with Macy to guide, the different in each one glowed from inside. Now it's your turn, dear one, to create a safe space. Be fearless like Macy and choose to embrace all that you are so others will see that different is truly a great thing to be.
And there was a mistake in the order of service. The children are actually not leaving during the service. They'll be here for the whole service today, so we won't be singing them out. So instead, I invite you now for our time, our weekly time, for shared stillness, prayer, reflection, or gratitude, as is your practice. So we'll enter now a period of silence for reflection. This is a community where we endeavor to show compassion and a place where we both give and receive care. And so in that spirit, let's take a moment to acknowledge significant events happening in people's lives. We'll start by sharing the sorrows and struggles. And if you are here today and have filled out a yellow card. I'll read those in a moment, and I'll also feel free to put them into the chat as well so I can share them with everybody. Many people are coming with a very heavy heart today. An important member of our local community, Maurice Drake, whom many of you know as Uncle Mo, died this week. Several people submitted cards for him. Gwen and Todd, Stephanie, Renee, and Heidi. But I know there are many more of you who knew him and bring him on your heart. Our former music director, Hal Walker, was a good friend as well. And because of that, many of us got to experience Mo's music here at our church as well. He was such an important figure to so many people with his ready smile and heavy community involvement. So we acknowledge his loss, and he's on our heart. Pea pies, yeah, somebody's mentioning that he made pea pies too. So we grieve with everybody and send out our love to all of those who are grieving at this moment. And two of our members mentioned a friend of theirs who died this week. Tina, is it Weiland? Am I saying that right? Tina Weiland, both Heidi and Renee wanted to acknowledge her loss. She was their massage therapist, healer, and friend, and they are missing her. And we send out our love to Heidi and Renee for their loss. And Vivian shares with us that they lost their longtime cat, Rosie, who'd been a member of their family for 15 years. So we know how hard that is, Vivian, and we send you love as well. Alyssa asks a request for prayers for Raven, who is continuing with her cancer treatment. Raven and Alyssa, you are both on our hearts and minds, and we're here for you if you need anything. We wish you the best as you continue with this treatment. Jennifer May sends that she's in St. Louis right now with her dad and his wife Dee, who is unfortunately in hospice and in her final days. So we send out all our love across the miles to the May family, and also Lois, who is here, and Connor are here today. So some of the family members are also here today. We send our love to all of you as you go through this very difficult period. Our prayer today is from the Reverend Lilia Cuervo. All-embracing one, foundation of my being, hear me as I come into your presence in search of peace, of healing, of courage, and awareness. Trying to overcome the challenges of my everyday living becomes a burden at times, too heavy to bear. Help me, please, compassionate one, to harbor integrity and love in my weary heart, in the moments of misunderstanding, in the moments of anger, in the inevitable moments of despair and doubt. Help me to recall the power of trusting my own inner light. When loneliness and sadness besiege me, help me to remember to reach out to those who love me, to seek the warmth of my community of faith, and to confidently rest in the glorious network of all existence of which I am a living, special link. May I be forgiven for any hurtful things I have done, and may I find the courage to forgive any hurtful things done to me, so that equanimity and joy may fill my heart. Amen, and blessed be. Life also does bring joy, wonder, and awe, so let's take a moment to honor those moments in our lives that have lifted us. And those on Zoom are welcome to put them in the chat. And I believe there was one in here, put in here earlier. Just give me 1 minute. I don't want to lose that. Oh, many of us know Martha Cluth, who was always a big reader, librarian and a member of our book group. And she has suffered from a condition where she lost the ability to read, but now after 5 years of therapy, she's beginning to recover that. What a blessing that is. What a blessing. Oh, Martha and John, we're thinking of you and so happy for this positive turn after what's been such a long, hard journey for you. So let us remember what's been shared here today and any that are in your heart.
We're here with you. We honor you. And we love you. We're here with you. We honor you. And we love you.
There is a meditation practice that maybe you've heard of that can help us to be kinder to ourselves and other people. It's called a loving kindness meditation, where we send out good wishes to ourselves and then to others in the world, starting with those we feel close to, but also sending out good wishes to everyone. And so I invite you now to relax in your seat, close your eyes or soften your gaze if you like, as we listen to and participate in a loving kindness meditation.
Today we're going to talk about something called Tonglen meditation. This is a concept that originally came from Tibetan Buddhism. The word Tonglen is Tibetan for giving and taking. Some people interpret it as sending and receiving. It involves the use of visualization to awaken compassion and to give us liberation from the ego. The idea with Tonglen meditation is to breathe in all of the pain and sadness of the world and to breathe out love and compassion. So we'll do this through different layers. We'll begin with empathy toward others, because I think that's often the easiest part of this exercise. And then we'll expand into some more challenging areas from there. So first, think of someone who you love dearly. Think of what that person looks like. Think about what makes that person lovable to you. Recall some fond memories of things that are endearing to you about that person. Wonderful things you've done together or funny things that happened as you interacted with that person. And as you're holding that image, that idea of that person, say to yourself, may you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. May you be at ease and happy. And may you walk in peace. Now think of an acquaintance, somebody who you just sort of know, maybe a coworker or a neighbor. Imagine the things that make that person human and relatable. Could be even just mundane, everyday things. Just things that they have in common with you. It could even be something like, my neighbor takes out the trash, just like I do. It could be something even that simple. Think about how that person is doing the best that they can to make sense of their world. And that even if their sense of it is different from yours, theirs is still valid. Recall memories of your interaction with that person. And as you hold that idea of this acquaintance in your mind, think to yourself, may you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. May you be at ease and happy. May you walk in peace. This is where it gets more challenging. Think of someone in your life who is difficult for you. Somebody who annoys you, maybe even someone who's wronged you in some way. We're going to go through the same sequence with them. But the challenge here is that what you're not doing is giving that permission to harm you in some way or to repeat some injustice or maltreatment. Instead, you're recognizing that they're human and working to let go of resentments, because the resentments only hurt you. They don't hurt the person who you're unhappy with. So think of the person. Try to imagine what makes them human. What makes them even relatable, even within whatever's difficult. And think to that person. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. May you be at ease and happy. May you walk in peace. And this is where it gets even more challenging. Because now I want you to think of yourself. What makes you, you? Think about what things define you, who you are and what you're like. Imagine yourself as a child, trying to figure out the world, doing the best you can, with that beautiful, naive, childlike self, trying to figure out the world, and how that child is still in you. That's part of who you are even now. And then say to yourself, may I be filled with loving kindness. May I be safe from inner and outer dangers. May I be well in body and mind. May I be at ease and happy. May I walk in peace. Recognize that we all, you and I, everyone we know, are part of a vast interrelated web of existence. We're woven together from elements forged in the explosion of stars hundreds of billions of years ago. We carry the genetic messages of countless generations, and we bring that into the future. We're living on a planet that is moving through space at 67,000 miles an hour. Take care of each other. Take care of the planet. And take care of yourselves. We are all part of the same universal whole.
I was born and raised in a small suburb of Cleveland. It's essentially a strip mall with a school and some houses tucked around it. I mean, it had a post office and, I don't know, a grocery store or whatever. It was fine. It was fine. I mean, it wasn't a war-torn country. It wasn't underwater or engulfed in flames most of the time. A lot of people would probably be happy to live there. It was just a hard place to grow up weird. There was this narrow range of what was considered acceptable in that kind of community. For example, I never liked sports, and that town was really obsessed with sports. They had this pathological attachment to the local football team, which mostly excelled at losing games and dashing hopes and dreams. I tried to attend some of those football games just to try to fit in. And essentially, in our town, the football teams were essentially packs of free-range teenagers walking around, smoking and making out under the bleachers, and every now and then watching our team get a pummeling. And there was always that marching band there that was blurting out bombastic fight songs and occasionally playing the covers of pop tunes. Now, you might like marching band, and I don't want to steal your joy. That's great if you enjoy that. But I agree with the comedian Jim Gaffigan, who once said, you know, you're never listening to music and thinking, I wish there was a marching band version of this song. Invariably, I try to make small talk at the games, and it would just further show how inept I was at understanding sports. I would say things like, I hope they make a goal. Football wasn't the only area where I struggled. You know, gym class was terrible for me. I was in Mr. Quackenbush's gym class, and every Friday he would have us play dodgeball. And he liked to keep the balls slightly deflated, so instead of bouncing off you, they'd give you a nasty smack. And you'd end up with these angry red welts on your skin. It was essentially state-sanctioned assault. It just felt like Mr. Quackenbush was on some kind of population control campaign among the less athletic members of the community. This was upsetting for my father because he was a state champion wrestler in high school. And so he signed me up for the team, hoping I would carry on the family tradition. And instead, I completely obliterated the family reputation for wrestling with a stunning record of losses. And one time I overheard my father lamenting to another father. He said, that Mike, he just doesn't want to hurt people. So disappointing. So I was the awkward art kid in a town where the only cultural event was walking 4 miles to the gas station to get a Coca-Cola out of the vending machine. But my one oasis was the library. I used to go there and get out college textbooks on things like philosophy, psychology, and sociology. Kids would see me on the bus clutching these books and wrinkle up their nose and say, why are you reading that? And I would say, because I like it. Which further showed what a hopeless case I was to those other kids. So while the other kids were doing things like listening to Madonna and Journey, this was the 80s, I was going to the library and checking out records of avant-garde composers of the 1950s and court music traditions from Japan. This got me labeled as a nerd. But I'd like to share with you a definition of that term. I think that a nerd is somebody who loves to learn, as described by someone who doesn't like to learn. So I was the black sheep of my town and my family. But I don't tell that story because I'm all that special or interesting, but because it might be relatable in some ways. I always think of the UU Church as the church of the black sheep. We have this amazing principle that we respect the inherent worth and dignity of all people. We invite all kinds of ideas and perspectives. And we protect that with a covenant that not only will we share, but we're going to respect each other even when we disagree. Such a crucial piece of that. Well, the black sheep is, of course, has a long history. People have used that term forever. And what it really refers to is the fact that when you're a sheep herder and you get a black sheep, it's hard to dye the wool. It's black. You can't really color it. So it's less valuable. Which means if you're the black sheep, it's harder for others to monetize you. The wonderful singer-songwriter Tom Waits, one time in an interview, was talking about how his kids, as they were growing up, noticed that he was different from all the other dads. He wasn't getting up every day and going to an office. And they asked, why aren't you like the normal dads? So he told this story. In the forest, there was a crooked tree and a straight tree. Every day, the straight tree would say to the crooked tree, look at me, I'm tall, I'm straight, I'm handsome. Look at you. You're all crooked and bent over. No one wants to look at you. They grew up in that forest together. Then one day the loggers came. They saw the crooked tree and they saw the straight tree. And the foreman said, just cut down the straight trees and leave the rest. So the loggers turned all the straight trees into lumber and toothpicks and paper. And the crooked tree is still there, growing stronger and stranger every day. In fact, I think of black sheep as a positive term. Often they're the heroes of the story, the innovators, the rebels, the minority voice that breaks through the conformity, the conscientious objector. In fact, no innovation, no growth would come about by everybody just doing the same thing. In 1900, Lord Kelvin spoke at the British Association for the Advancement of Science. And he said, there's nothing new to be discovered in physics now. All that remains is more and more precise measurement. 5 years later, Albert Einstein published his paper on relativity and effectively overturned 200 years worth of Newtonian mechanics. At the time, he said, we can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them, which in physics is known as a sick burn. The paper on relativity was different in all kinds of ways. One of them is that scientific papers have a long list of references of other materials that were considered in developing ideas and research. Theory of relativity was a paper that had none of that, had no references, because it came out of nowhere. In fact, Einstein came out of nowhere. He dropped out of school and was a lowly patent clerk when he wrote the 3 most important papers of his entire life. There's a term for that, Sui Generis, the title of our service today. It's a Latin term that means of its own kind, where something comes out of nowhere, it's just different. Another wonderful Sui Generis example is Igor Stravinsky when he premiered Rite of Spring. It was 1913 in Paris. He was premiering this piece that had a lot of modern ideas about rhythm and harmony. As the piece started, it was met with boos, mocking laughter, and violence. One reviewer described it as a laborious and puerile barbarity, which would be a good sermon title for some future thing. So the performers continued touring with the Rite of Spring across Europe, and within a year they returned to Paris, and at that time they were met with standing ovations and rave reviews. The people had caught up with the art. Now, Rite of Spring is widely considered to be one of the most influential music works of the 20th century. So I'm talking about some really large-scale ways that these black sheep, the different people come in and do things, but there's also this very profound way that it can affect on an individual level or community level. The UU Church is made up of the LGBTQIA plus community, and we've got our neurodivergent friends, we've got people with different ideas. We may even have people who don't have anywhere else they go where they feel welcome. This inclusion is not tolerance. This is enrichment. Well, today's Father's Day, and my father's 86 years old. And he's always had a disapproving attitude about my values and lifestyle. But in his recent years, he's decided that this is his last chance to fix me. So he gives me some critiques. His favorite word to describe me is disgrace. Your garden is a disgrace. Your house, your income, your parenting style, disgrace. You can imagine this causes some stress sometimes in my life. Well, one day at church, it was during coffee hour, I was talking to Saul Flanner. And I was telling him, we were talking about parenting, fatherhood, and all that. And I started to mention this, or describe this story about my father. And Saul said, when you started telling that story, I felt kind of bad for you. But as you continued, I started to feel bad for your father because he'll never know what a good person his own son is. And that had never occurred to me. So it takes a community like this one, a loving community, a supportive community, where people can fill in those missing gaps, where we can complete the circle, where we can be different, but we don't have to be alone. So in conclusion, I'm going to read a poem by Rosemary Watrola Traumer called Belonging. And if it's true we are alone together, the way the blades of grass are alone, but exist as a field. Sometimes I feel it, the green fuse that ignites us, the wild thrum that unites us, an inner hum that reminds us of our shared humanity. Just as 35 trillion red blood cells join in one body to become one blood. Just as 136,000 notes make up one symphony. Alone as we are, our small voices weave into one big conversation. Our actions are essential to the one infinite story of what it is to be alive. When we feel alone, we belong to the grand communion of those who sometimes feel alone. We are the dust that hopes, the rising of dust, a thrill of dust. The dust that dances in the light with all the other dust, the dust that makes the world. May it be so, and amen.
Will the ushers please come forward? This church is a place where you can bring your whole self. We endeavor to create a liberal religious community and a safe place for all who desire the Unitarian Universalist message of love. And in gratefulness for this church and for all it aspires to be, we accept the offering. You're also invited to contribute to our monthly social justice offering. This month, those donations support the Freedom House, which works to support homeless veterans in our community in their efforts to achieve greater self-sufficiency and obtain permanent housing. And there's more information about how to donate on the slide.
This song we're about to do is by Daniel Johnston. Daniel had been a Kent State student majoring in art. But right in the middle of his studies, he began to descend into some serious mental health struggles. They got very severe, and he wound up spending the rest of his life in and out of mental hospitals and on really serious medications. But through it all, he started writing songs. And even though he had a very weak voice and limited skills as a musician, people started to pick up on this, on wonderful music he was writing. He slowly developed a following among people like back Kurt Cobain and Eddie Vedder. He lived a lonely, hard life, and he died in 2019. But he died with a devoted following of people who could truly see his glory. This is called True Love Will Find You in the End. True love will find you in the end. You'll find out just who was your friend. Don't be sad, I know you will. Don't give up until true love will find you in the end. This is a promise with a catch. 'Cause only if you're looking will it find you. 'Cause true love is searching too. But how can it recognize you unless you step out into the light, the light? Don't be sad, I know you will. Don't give up until true love will find you in the end. True love will find you in the end. You'll find out just who was your friend. Don't be sad, I know you will. Don't give up until true love will find you in the end.
As our service comes to a close, and as Katie extinguishes our chalice, I invite you to say with me the words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. May we carry these in our hearts and minds until we are together again.
Please feel free to join in singing with us as we go. The Sanskrit will just repeat back and forth for you one moment so you can learn it. Loka, samasta sukino bhavantu. Loka. Sorry. I know too many versions of this and I just started the wrong one. Can you go through the chord progression, please? Here we go. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. We all shine like diamonds in the sun. Every one of us, every one of us shines. We all shine like diamonds in the sun. Every one of us, every one of us shines. We all shine like diamonds in the sun. Every one of us, every one of us shines. We all shine like diamonds in the sun. Every one of us, every one of us shines. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu.
Just have one announcement to share. We've been working on shifting our church culture around volunteering and asking people to fill out interest and talent forms for us. It doesn't obligate you to anything, but it gives the leaders of the church a much better idea of what people might be interested in, so we can invite people into ministries that are meaningful for them. If you haven't yet had a chance to fill one out, we have some on a back table back there, and you're welcome to do that.
This quote is by Franco, who says, "I know there is strength in the differences between us. I know there is comfort where we overlap." Go in peace.